San Francisco has been a melting pot for a century and a half, since the beginning of the gold rush.
More people came from more countries and more continents into one city at one time than had ever happened.
The city's traditions run deep.
Grandfather built the building in 1904, and family's owned it ever since.
And its characters are larger than life.
San Francisco has always been very great to me as an emperor.
The spirit that shaped San Francisco is still very much alive today.
Don't worry, you eat these sandwiches, you're going to want to go dancing later on, believe me.
And a walk through parts of the city will reveal 15 decades of adventure and vision.
A man or a woman could come to San Francisco and forge a new beginning, could start a chocolate empire, could invent a hill-conquering cable contraption, or could whisk sing-song slave girls from the clutches of captors to the security of safe haven.
This is Hodling Place at the edge of San Francisco's financial district, and the bayfront is about a half a mile east of here. But 150 years ago, when the gold rush turned San Francisco into a booming metropolis virtually overnight, this is where the bay began, and right over here is where the city ended. This was a raucous neighborhood known as the Barbary Coast.
Well, the Barbary Coast Trail, Doug, is a 3.8-mile historical walking trail that takes us back to the streets of old San Francisco.
Daniel Bacon created the official Barbary Coast Trail, and he wrote a book to help people find many of the fascinating sights along the way. The trail starts at 5th and Mission Streets and roughly follows San Francisco's original waterfront north towards Fisherman's Wharf. Because San Francisco's history is relatively recent, you can still meet people whose lives are closely tied to the city's beginnings.
This is an early one. This is a 19...
James Flood's great-grandfather didn't have any luck in the gold rush, but he eventually became one of the 4 silver kings who struck it rich in the Comstock lode.
The height of the Comstock, it was over $1 million a day, was being taken out of the mine.
The Silver King's son constructed the magnificent Flood Building on Market Street in 1904. For nearly 30 years, it was the largest and tallest building west of Chicago.
My grandfather built it, and my father maintained it for many years, and I sort of restored it. So it's been a family tradition.
A few blocks north of the Flood Building, across from Union Square, is Maiden Lane.
I call Maiden Lane a sunny street with a very shady past.
Today, Maiden Lane is a fashionable alley, complete with the Frank Lloyd Wright designed art gallery. But back in the 1800s, the ambiance was quite different.
There were literally cribs, which were the lowest kind of brothel that you could have, lining both sides of Maiden Lane from one end to the other.
At that time, there was no telling what you'd find or who.
Who's this? It's Emperor Norton.
Well, not the real Emperor Norton, but Jerry Bart, an actor who occasionally portrays the self-declared Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico.
Of course, it was my duty to visit all the restaurants in San Francisco to see that they were serving the proper food to the miners, and to sit in the front row of all of the operas and concerts.
Emperor Norton issued numerous proclamations, some of which were actually heated. The tradition of lighting a Christmas tree in Union Square was the Emperor's idea, as was the exact positioning of the Bay Bridge. San Francisco's Board of Supervisors even voted to give Emperor Norton a clothing allowance.
Maybe Emperor Norton was a hero to San Francisco, and so they adopted him, they took care of him in grand style.
The Barbary Coast Trail continues through Chinatown. At the Clarion Music Center, you might hear instruments like those brought over by the first Chinese immigrants. Clara Sue runs the center, and Michael Santoro directs its Cultural Awareness of Music program. Clara's children, Lawrence and Julia, also help out.
It doesn't matter where we live and what our condition of life is. We all need music.
Clarion honors the diversity that fueled this city, with an incredible collection of musical instruments from around the world. From an Australian didgeridoo to a snake charmer from Pakistan to a German Alpenhorn. From Chinatown, the trail ventures into North Beach, past the hangouts of legendary beat poets like Jack Kerouac, to a mecca of the culinary arts, Molinari's Delicatessen.
I think everybody, at least once in a lifetime, has come into this store. I mean, we've been here for almost 100 years old, 100 years, so everyone comes in here.
And everyone tries Joe Mastrelli's special sandwich.
Well, we use fresh homemade mozzarella. We use imported sun-dried tomatoes from Italy, sweet bell peppers, and I put a basil garlic spread on the bread if you'd like that.
Well, cheers.
Can you believe this? Cheers. Yeah. We're heading up 63 steps to heaven here, and you'll see why in a minute.
Dan's Barbary Coast Trail has another treat in store for me, the tiny, hidden-away Jack Early Park on the hills above Fisherman's Wharf.
And look at this view here. We've got the Golden Gate Bridge to Emperor Norton Bridge view over here, otherwise known as San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge.
It was from a vantage point like this during an 1846 sunset that explorer John C. Fremont gave the Golden Gate its name.
And what was remarkable, Doug, was how prophetic that announcement was. Because 2 years later, the words gold and San Francisco and California would bring determined adventurers from around the world through that windswept strait here into San Francisco, the gateway to the gold rush.
We barely scratched the surface of the Barbary Coast Trail. Even so, it's easy to get a sense of the vitality that built San Francisco, a vitality that's still with us.
You know, we're really a city of doers, of entrepreneurs, of people who want to make a better world, make a better life for ourselves. And I think looking from this spot, you have to admit, we've done a pretty good job.